can go on, can happen. Teachers point small group within their classrooms. We're looking at what sort of activities we can do around the No Place for Hate piece, as well as the activities that we can bring on that might be school-wide activities that we want to do that help to train our staff or train groups of kids that can help to facilitate some of the work that's going on there. And then lastly, opportunities for parents. Some of the things that happened last year that we're looking to repeat were like lunch and learns that would go on with our counselors, and they did it virtually as well as in person, so parents could come in and be a part of maybe the suicide awareness during Suicide Awareness Month. And they had a luncheon where parents could come in, sit in, go through a process with them, as well as then join us online if necessary. So we're looking at how we can continue to offer those and maybe increase the numbers of those offerings that we have. And that's what I have for WEA, and I don't have the question slide because that comes at the end, but I'm going to pause right there so that if you do have questions about the WHS piece, you can ask them of me now before we move on to WEA.
I do.
Okay.
I know we talk a lot about testing and obviously the scores and the percentages of passing for the ACT. And I know that in the past we talked about the fact that in high school in general, the kids don't care about the test. I mean, specifically the ACT or before when it was AC Merit or anything. I mean, most of them, the ones that, obviously are on the gifted better grades into the spectrum care, but the other ones, it's like whatever. Are any of these goals geared towards kind of helping them to,
motivation.
To want to do well on a test?
We have a lot of I guess, action steps that are probably smaller action steps built into it. We've highlighted some of the major, I guess, steps. But this is a work in progress, and I think that's something that we have to probably consider, because we had students that took the ACT that had as high as the highest score is a 36. We had students that scored almost a perfect score. They were in, I think our highest, 34, 35. We also had students that scored in the single digit. And that speaks to the motivation piece. We know that they're capable of better than that. And so getting them to show their best for them, their teacher, and how they can represent is important. And that, I think, partly comes back to some of the other work that we're doing. Kids check out because they're not doing well in school. And so one of the reasons that they check out is, again, their grades. They don't feel like there's hope. They don't feel like there's opportunities to take a 0 and suddenly make it a passing grade. And so we're again, our work is around rethinking how assessments play into the grading process, and then when we do get graded on something, what opportunities do kids have to make improvements on that? The one analogy I always like to make with our staff is, at what point in our careers are we assessed on one test and we're not able to make change the score of that test or make an improvement? Or, if we go out and we take our driving test and we don't pass it and we do poorly on it, and then we take it a second time and we do poorly on it a second time, and then we do it a third time and we finally pass it, but the DMV says you're not going to issue your driver's license because when I average those three together, you still didn't pass it on those three averages. They don't do that. That's not how it works in our world. Yet in high school and in school in general, we accept that as being okay. So a student who makes progress gets often averaged. And we're looking at how can we rethink some of that work, and that's where we're kind of heading. And I think that goes to how we can get those kids who are not motivated because they don't see how motivated, and then when they do, they want to show their best.
It seems like I recall a couple years ago when we was doing AZ Merit to kind of motivate them to take the test. Didn't we have something that they got to raise a grade or something?
There was, yes.
If they passed it or whatever, I don't know.
Debbie, where were we with that again? Sorry to put you on the spot. But.
Hi, Ron. How are you? Thanks for putting me on the spot. So yes, we do have a policy in place. We did realize a little late in the game that it was written for AZ Merit, and it had the AZ
Right.
So we have been revising it. The policy will be a little bit more vague and we'll make it a regulation. So when the state decides to shift to the next idea, the regulation can be modified at a quicker pace. But yes, we will be looking at that policy again. In
Okay.
fact, it's almost ready for you.
Okay.
Almost.
We did some work on it last spring,
Yeah.
in the early summer,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, did we,
It's hard-
did
it's
we
hard
see,
to set it when you
did we
don't know
see,
what it's going to be.
like, that the student took more interest in particularly your mediocre, students that could raise a grade that would mean something? Did we see more interest in them taking the test that year or two that we did it?
So I'm going to speak to that again, since Mark hasn't been with us much since we've had state testing back, right? It was pretty, it depended on the student, of course, but I'll tell you the story, okay? So first day of summer school, we have students in credit recovery by objective, meaning that they're so close to passing, but they're not passing. So we give them an opportunity to fill those deficits. The principals at the time were able to go in, I call it almost tapping a kid out. Hey, you don't have to be here. You scored proficiency on the test. So yes, it did show some motivation for those students that have the ability to pass the assessment, but there was something somewhere in that semester that impeded them to get that passing grade, which allowed them to earn credit for that,
Okay.
for that class.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else for high school?
No.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Mark.
And now, please introduce Colleen Peterson.
Hello.
Hello.
I'll be fast. Small schools, mobiles. And I just lost it.
It'll come back. It'll come back. We all say, it'll come back.
Okay. So when we set our goals this year, we based them on two things. One was our Cognia review that we went through in the spring and some of the things that came out of Cognia as far as earning our accreditation. And they did a really good job of showing weaknesses and strengths for us. And so one of the goals that we set came from that Cognia review where it says during the school year, 85% of the students will be communicating with at least once per week with their WDA homeroom teacher or other staff members. And so because our student population is 4th grade through 12th grade, we have to do some different things depending on their grade level. And so we introduced an advisory class, and I'm the advisory teacher. And so 9th through 12th grade students are assigned to me, and I am having weekly emails to them, but follow-up calls like groups of students. Okay, this week I'm going to target the 9th graders and move through the different groups of students. Just not from a nagging them, hey, you're behind on your assignments, but from a, hey, we're going to look at some career exploration, some goal-setting things that aren't punitive in the sense that you're not doing well, this is why the principal's calling you, okay? And so I thought with an advisory class, we could make better communication in a non-negative way. Homeroom teachers was something that we started last year, and so I have 3 new staff members this year. Yes, 3. And so they're being assigned students, and again, reaching out to X number of students, and that's that student's point of contact so that they can you tell me about homecoming week? Or can you tell me about, I had a parent wanting to know about winter sports. And so students and parents can have that line of communication with one teacher and kind of can start with that. For the 4th through 8th grade students, their Edgenuity teachers email, all 4 teachers email the student every week, and I can see that communication, and they'll text the parent or they'll email the student. And so those 4th through 8th grade teachers are always in communication with those younger students and the parents as well, because they are lower grade levels. And then we've also become familiar with the Blackboard messages. So we know that teenagers prefer text. And so through Blackboard, if they've given us their number, we can text them quick information regarding school, as well as the parents, and then we follow up with an email as well. And so Viviana Ruiz, who is the administrative secretary between her and I, we are using Blackboard 2 to 3 times a week, just touching base with all kinds of things, because we knew that from our cognitive review, breakdown in communication was impacting other pieces of students' education, and so we're trying to have a focus on that communication piece. So that's where that goal came from. And then our other goal came out of having so many new teachers. So I say so many, 3. So half the teachers are new this year, and 2 of them have never dealt with online curriculum. And one, Renee Macias, did it through summer school, but none of them have a background in teaching and online. So I knew that to get them to be able to serve the students better, we needed some professional development. And so our LMS, Edgenuity, has a curriculum training that we did before school even started. And then they've got some follow-up PDs that we've already purchased and just need to implement for best practices for online instruction. And how, as a classroom teacher, which all of them are except Renee, transition into an online teacher and still meet the needs of their students, recognize the needs of their students and where those learning gaps are, and how they can better serve them outside of the standard curriculum that we're using. We're also part of the Arizona Online Consortium, which is all the online schools in Arizona, K-12, and they have monthly meetings and sharing ideas, sharing resources, communicating how they're doing things at their school. And there's super huge schools like the Gilbert School District, which is intense, and then there's small little schools like ours. Ours is small compared to most of them out there. And then I have a big goal is that I'd like the teachers to be able to attend some conferences or webinars to get additional support and training to be a better online instructor. And so that impacts the academics of our students. So those were our 2 big goals for this year, with a new director and a new staff, basically. So, questions?
Colleen, I just have one question about, you mentioned Edgenuity. Are we using more of their teachers this year?
So, in the sense of content area?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
we have an English, math, science, social studies, health, and then we've implemented more of Edgenuity's teachers for electives, because we needed to increase our electives. So the English, the science, and the math teacher are new to our staff. They're also, excluding Renee Macias, are teachers at the high school as well.
Okay.
So we didn't increase, well, we increased it one, partial, Brady Nelson, who's just doing health now. So we didn't really increase our staff, we just changed who was in what position.
Okay, because I know we had one for our elective last year.
Yeah, so we have, Adam Bub worked really hard in finding more electives that we could offer through Edgenuity, and so we've increased our elective opportunities, which has added different teachers through Edgenuity that work with the students.
Oh, good, okay, good. Thank you. Anybody else have a question for Colleen?
Not on this, but on your other report, the long version, I guess you
Long,
want
yes.
to call it. But when you reported the, I guess the Arizona testing for, through the 3rd through the 8th grade, the zeros there, was that actual 0% passing or 0 people tested?
0 people tested.
Okay.
So, for example, we had a third grade student, I think it was, and that student did not test.
Okay.
And so when you see that, it means that we either didn't have a student at that grade level to test, or the one student
Okay.
that was.
Because like in 8th grade, there's all the 8th grade is 0. So, yeah.
Right, yeah. Well, 8th grade rep said 0, because I know we had 5. None of them were proficient at the
Okay.
8th grade level, but
Okay.
there were
Okay.
4 that did test at the grade level.
Okay, that was my question, is the 0, I didn't know if it might have been a typo and it didn't, the percent sign shouldn't be there, or if actually nobody passed.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I looked at the data for the 4th through 8th grade, it was pretty discouraging, actually.
Okay, so then that brings another question. When you get that with a student, then, I mean, do you take that to the parent and say, your student is not doing well online, they need to be in the classroom?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and so actually, Mark and I talked a little bit about this yesterday, but our policy is if they haven't shown growth academically or through state testing, especially 4th through 8th grade, in our handbook, it does say that they are withdrawn from the online school. And our recommendation, of course, is then to go back to a face-to-face school. But the parents could choose a completely different online platform outside of our school district if they wanted to.
Right, sure.
But we know when we look at the data and the grades that if they're not experiencing success, that it's not working for them.
Right. And one other thing that I have is the one statement that you had in that report also was that said that each teacher had the equivalent of one class period to communicate with 80 to 100 students.
Correct. So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That just, to me, it just sounds like that's impossible to do.
So, it depends, so there's many pieces to that. So, each teacher currently, so Renee Macias has the highest number of students right now. She has 91 math students assigned to her. So it's not that she's communicating with 91 students every single day. But the expectation is within an academic week, she has communicated, or the teachers have communicated with their students, whether it's a weekly email or a quick, hey, I reset your test, you need to go back and review this information. And so within the academic week, they should be communicating with their class load, not necessarily every single day.
So if an online student, if they have a math problem, they need they have questions they don't understand, and does she answer those questions, or are there tutors that answer those questions, or how does that?
So we have a little bit of both. So our teachers do have that designated hour. So I'm addressing 9th through 12th grade. So 9th through 12th grade, they have that designated hour. The student can call in, can set up a Google Meet, they can call our lab coach, or they can communicate via email. And we do screenshots and we do recordings. Like I'll record something and then I'll shoot that little video to a student. And so there's different tools to kind of do that. The 4th through 8th grade, those teachers have office hours. They have labs where the students can come in and communicate with another Edgenuity instructor or parapro. And so 4th through 8th grade has some different resources than we do. But we try and overlap between our support staff and our teachers to address those needs.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Colleen. Thanks. Appreciate it. I'd like to thank all the principals for your school improvement plans. Very nice to see. And hopefully through the year we're going to hear. But thank you again. So we're going to take a break before we start our regular meeting in 18 minutes. So if anybody needs to
Thank you.
stretch your legs.
Went out to WUSD at the day for chairs. And
This? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Actually,
to order for, I'm sorry if I scared you, for September 20th. And if you will all join me with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, for the folks in the audience, if you can silence your cell phones so we don't have them dinging or ringing or whatever they're going to do, please. All right, if we can get an adoption of the agenda.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to adopt the agenda for September 20th, 2022 as submitted.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. All right, so we go into item 2, which is our information and discussion items. And that's recognitions. Anybody on the board have anything? Sandy, kick it off.
I would like to go Wickenburg High School Student Council for winning the salsa contest at September Fiesta this weekend.
Good. Randy?
And nothing.
So,
We're not going to talk about Parker.
no, no, we're going to forget that occurred. I would like to just real quickly, because it always goes right past, I'd like to reach out to recognize our business office, our district office, and the employees for what they do. They make this business run like a well-oiled machine. And without them, we couldn't do it. And they don't ever get the accolades. So, accolade coming your way. Thank you.
Yay.
Dr. Ramandini.
Yes, Mr. Malio and members of the board and the community, I want to recognize, thank, and congratulate those responsible for implementing the Wickenburg High School Agriculture Program, which is new this year. Mr. Mark Gorman, Mr. Clint Bushbaum, Ms. Brady Nelson, and ag teacher Mr. Kelly James have worked hard to get the program up and running. We're very excited about this possibility and it's actually the largest student group on campus right now. And they have recently been given notice that their FFA chapter is recognized by the state and national as a certified FFA program. And you will see on our agenda tonight, the team will be traveling to learn how to judge livestock. And Mr. Alexander and I talked about would teach them how to do reasons, because we remember how to do that back when we were in high school and ag programs. But I think they probably should go get real training rather than that. So I also want to invite our community to follow us on Facebook and watch for our Fun Fact Fridays. We've been trying to push out some interesting items about the district and those we serve, just to do a little celebration and remind everybody of who we are. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ramandini. Okay, item number 3 is our informational items, and that is where our call to the public falls in. And we actually have people in our public, and we have 3 folks that want to step up and address the board. And just to let you know, in case you didn't read what you did sign, the board desires to hear the viewpoints of Wickenburg Unified School District citizens. For reasons of efficiency, the length of comment portion of this agenda is limited to 10 minutes total. In order to ensure every individual has an opportunity to address the board, the time limit individual speakers is 2.5 minutes, and it will be timed by our board secretary, Casey Geip. And when we hear the ding, we're done. So the first person that I have in front of me is Anna Rifle.
I hope. My name is Anna Rifle, and today I would like to address that I see passion and love about each one of you, about the kids that are here as the students. And I want to tell you that we have an amazing program. I was listening to the difficulties that the student has, that we know that we are not just an individual form just as buddies, but we are more than that. Academic, you're doing a great job because you're learning English.
Excuse me 1 second, I'm sorry. I should have said this in the beginning. So Casey, hold that for a second.
Sorry,
That microphone that's there, if you can just hold it, it's not so we can hear you. This meeting is live streamed
Oh.
on YouTube. So when you're speaking into that, the people that aren't here can hear us. Okay?
Hi.
So you won't hear yourself, but just hold it
So everybody
near.
Here?
can hear you.
It's good?
That's good, yes.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much. My name is Anna Raifal, and I want to tell you the board that they are doing an amazing job with all your surveys, and I like how interested you are in the students. But sometimes I would like to tell you that persons are three. We are divided in threes, and it's like body, mind, and spirit. And sometimes we left the spirit out on this equation. That's why sometimes the students probably is not doing as we're expecting, right? Our expectations. So today we are opening a group that we are offering to the public, presenting this to you, probably the parents that are struggles with the students. We're welcome to help them, right? The students that are difficulties, and we can pray for them. I come to offer that common service for you. And we can talk to the parents the love of the Most High to them so they can implement it to their kids. We have amazing programs that come from Alaska, and they give you freedom about the spirit, right? That we're talking about Elohim. But I know sometimes in the ground of public school we cannot do that. But that's not mean we cannot do outside. If somebody's interested about that program that is absolutely amazing, has revolutionized my life and my kids' life. So I want to give that opportunity to parents and change their spirit, because really we need that they grow more than emotionally. I'm talking about mental health, right? That's the importance, that we probably just focus on academics, probably just focus that my son is going to become an amazing engineer, right? Aerodynamic engineer. And thank you, Father, for that. But it's important because it's essential that three graphics, that as parents feel it. So tonight I come to you and I would like to read this. That it was given for me, for the Most High. But if anyone cause one of these little ones who believe in me to sin, it will be better for him to have a large millstone hang around his neck and not to be drowned in the depths of the sea. So what has been this?
Perfect.
I knew it's going to happen. I love to talk. Thank you, Arians. And I would like to tell you something. Somebody, a young person, told me something. You are not called Wickenburg. You are called Wisdomburg. And I said, yes, you're right. There's a lot of wisdom people here. And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Anna. Okay, next speaker, we've got Linda Maloney. And Linda, you have 2.5 minutes, and if you can please hold the microphone.
Hi, I'm Linda Maloney, and I am just here, one of probably, I'm going to say, the majority of people who are out of the loop of education at this time and are interested in getting back a little closer, closing that gap. And so I'm wondering if there is a list of the current curriculum published somewhere, along with the supporting books and documents.
That's online, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
On our website, the district website,
On the district website.
wickenburgschools.org.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, and our final speaker, I apologize, I can't read the last name, but I see Wilfred.
I'm a little nervous, and I'm not a good public speaker.
Can you pick up the microphone?
your questions,
Okay,
okay?
thank you.
All right. I noticed, and I believe that Kathy Hoffman is the superintendent of public instruction. Is she still in that position?
She is.
Okay. What is the connection between the Department of Education and the superintendent of public instruction? How are that connected?
What I need to do too is, and I apologize, we can't have dialogue with you. This is just a call to public so you can get up and air whatever you want to. But we welcome you to call our district office and they can speak with you.
I'm here to try to educate myself.
No, I understand.
I'm 93 years old and I think it's about time. I've got two beautiful granddaughters that my grandson is going to have to pay to put them into private school. First of all, I became aware that this problem was going to exist in the 50s, believe it or not. I'm 93 years old. That was when people was needing help in small communities and they wanted government help. And I told my wife, I said, there goes the school system. I have two questions that I'd like to read to you. Okay. This is a quote from a well-known man. It says, "Give me 4 years to teach the children, and the seed I have sown will never be uprooted." Does anyone here know who wrote that, who said that? Lynn. I'm sure there's people here that do remember that name. The second sentence, "Let me control the textbooks and I will control the state." Who wrote that?
Hitler.
Yes, who said that? Okay. I am very disappointed in what I hear on the news about what is being taught in school. I think first and second graders should be given a little more time before they're taught some of the things that WAP, is that the way you pronounce it, WAP, that's being taught? I'm looking for the roots of who directs what is bought and what is taught. Who buys the books? Who decides what books? I don't know where to look. I did find out that the school board is considered a bureaucracy. And surely it doesn't stop at this woman whose name I just read. Who decides what's taught in the schools? That's my question. I don't know where to look.
What you want to do, Wilfred, is you want to call our school district office.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm profoundly deaf, and I can't read your lips from this distance.
Here, go ahead, I'll video it.
Call our district office at 928-668-5350, and they can give you the information you're looking for.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wilfred. Appreciate it. All right, folks. Okay, so now we move into our consent agenda. Any other board members need anything pulled before we take action? Hearing none, can we get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda items for September 20th, 2022 as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, we move into item 5, which is our action item. And the first item up is request for approval of our financial report presented by Mrs. Erin Johnson.
Through August, we're trending very well with our expenditures, more on track with where I would expect us to be than prior year. I think products are back in stock and we're able to place some orders where we weren't in the past. We recently gave some pay increases. So we're trending very well there, and just where I would expect that we would be at this point in the year. So our budget balances are positive, we are in compliance, and there are no surprises to the best of my knowledge.
Beautiful. Anybody have any questions of Erin? Thank you, Erin. Appreciate it.
I'll make a motion to approve the financial reports as submitted.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Item 5B, first reading of the following policy advisories. So we've got student surveys, visitors to schools, parental involvement in education, family life education, library materials selection and adoption, and resource centers, media centers, school libraries, and teaching about controversial issues. Anybody have anything that, yes?
I have a question. Okay, that applies to a couple of, do we have a permanent librarian?
We do not have a permanent, we do not, yes, so, good question. On policy IJL, that is the library materials, and then policy IJNC, Wickenburg schools will be exempt from those policies because we do not have the staff for a full-time media specialist or librarian. We will comply with the selection and the materials that are required. These policies are grouped together in this way because most of the policies that you're doing a first read tonight address the newly updated legislative laws regarding parental rights. Most of the changes are not major. We already had these policies. They were very simple to make some minor changes to the policies. But yes, good catch on the library materials.
Do we have an agreement with the library? The county library?
We do not have an agreement with the Wickenburg Library. We have some conversations with the city of Buckeye and what we might be able to do out at Festival to enhance their library materials. So that wasn't all the question you asked, but I was anticipating both sides of the district. Yeah.
Anybody else? All right, very good. Thank you. Item 6, informational items. Items for future agendas. Anybody have anything to add on? No? All right. Item B is announcements in our calendar. And very nice, Casey. I like your art. I love it. And item 7, closing of the meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are